Voters in New Hampshire have laid the groundwork for a history-making House race come this year's midterm elections, no matter who wins. Last night, Chris Pappas won in a crowded pack of 11 Democrats in the primary. He is the state's first openly gay congressional nominee. He will face former police chief Eddie Edwards.
Edwards is a Republican and has the support of President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. If elected in November, Edwards could also make history as the Granite State's first black member of Congress. Like we said, history will be made in November, no matter who wins.
So joining us now is Chris Pappas from Manchester, New Hampshire. We should note we reached out to Edwards and his campaign, and we hope to have him on soon. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's great to be with you this morning. Thanks for having me.
All right, so one of the buzziest topics right now is whether or not President Trump should get impeached. According to a new poll by Quinnipiac, a majority of voters say they do not want Congress to begin the process of impeaching the President of the United States. What do you say? If you were elected, would you vote to impeach? Would you even begin those discussions in the Congress?
Well, I think it's important that the process moves forward, and I think Mueller has to make sure that he finishes the job, that we protect the integrity of his investigation so that he can put all the facts out on the table. I think this country needs a full reckoning of what transpired during the 2016 elections and what happened since in terms of obstruction of justice and some of the other important issues that he needs to fully investigate. So as a member of Congress, this is a solemn constitutional responsibility. And you should only move forward on impeachment if something rises to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors. And I, for one, wouldn't be willing to make that judgment until everything's out on the table.
Well, no surprise, the president doesn't agree with the conversation about impeachment. In fact, he tweeted today slamming the impeachment talk, but he went on to praise the economy, writing, "Where are the Democrats coming from? The best economy in the history of the country would totally collapse if they ever took control." So what do you make of the president's comments?
Well, he inherited an economy that was growing and that was in a long period of expansion because of the work that President Obama did to rescue this economy. And I think right now we don't have an economy that's working for everyone. I mean, we saw a huge tax cut given away to the wealthiest Americans, the biggest corporations, at the expense of our ability to invest in this country again. What we've seen since that tax cut was passed was lots of stock buybacks, but not lots of investment in workers. And in order to make sure that we, renew the promise of what America should be all about, we've got to make the American dream within reach of everyone who works hard and plays by the rules. And I think we need to work on raising wages, providing health insurance benefits that are affordable, making sure that we bring down the cost of college. Those are the types of investments that we can make in middle-class Americans that are going to truly help grow this economy and make sure it works for everybody.
The president has been touting his economic numbers. The stock market is up. The economy is doing much better. How do you, if you are elected, plan to, because it's one thing to say, look, you don't agree with the tax plan that the president and the Republican Congress and Senate enacted. It's another to suggest to people that the way that things are going for them right now, the money that they're seeing in their pocketbooks right now, is something that you don't agree with, is something that you'd like to derail.
Yeah. What's important is that we focus on issues that people in our state are talking about. And one of the challenges we have in New Hampshire is we don't have enough workers. We have a 2.7% unemployment rate, one of the lowest in the nation. It's been at that rate for a number of years. And we need to make sure that we keep more of our young people here in the state, that we lower the cost of college, that we invest in career and technical education programs, that we realize that college isn't for everyone, and that we train up folks with workforce-ready skills to enter the economy right here in our own state. So I'm looking at this from a local perspective, from the issues that I've worked on in state government. And I know from talking with folks during my campaign the last 10 months that there's a lot of anxiety and that there are a lot of pressures that families face. And we need a Congress that's going to step up for working class and middle class Americans instead of the wealthy special interests.
So there have been some divisions, though, that are sort of emerging among the Democrats. We've seen some progressives win primaries and unseat a longtime incumbent Democrats. And there's been a lot of criticism when it comes to House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. Some want her to step aside. Where are you on this? Would you like to see her step down?
I think we've seen an exciting trend across the country where candidates who know their district, who are in tune with their neighbors, are winning seats and even toppling incumbents. And that's what I think happened yesterday in my race here in New Hampshire. I think with respect to leadership, I haven't given it much thought, and I think that there will be a race once the November elections conclude, and I don't know what that race will look like. Ultimately, I'll make the best choice for the people of this district in terms of who I support. But at the end of the day, it's really critical that we have checks and balances in Washington, that we have oversight over an administration that's pushing extreme policies and a Republican Congress that's unwilling to stand up to President Trump. So I think that's what independents, Democrats, and even some Republicans are looking for this fall. We're going to carry that message forward, and any decisions about leadership will be made once all the dust is settled.
And Chris, you're running on a universal health care platform. There have been calls from the left for a Medicare for all plan, a single payer system. What's your take on that?
I think that it's important that we stop the sabotage effort that's going on right now in the Affordable Care Act. I mean, there are members of Congress who day in and day out are hoping and working to take away coverage from tens of millions of Americans. The administration is in court trying to take away protections from individuals with pre-existing conditions, which in my state is about half the adult population. So we've got to make sure that we protect the guarantees that are there and the important patient protections that are in the Affordable Care Act and work to bring down costs. That should be our focus. I think we should also focus on bringing down the cost of prescription drugs, which just go up and up at artificially high rates. I believe that healthcare should be a right and not a privilege. That's why I provide it to my workers at my restaurant business. We did it before the ACA came along. We've got to get moving in that direction as a country to close the gaps that exist. And I think that by creating a public option for the individual marketplace is one way that we can get some choice and competition and make sure that more people are covered.
So we are less than 60 days away from the November midterm. Walk us through what the next few weeks are going to look like for you.
Well, this is a grassroots politics state, and we won our primary by knocking on a lot of doors and by having conversations in living rooms all across New Hampshire. So we're really going to put together an effort that is of, by, and for the people of New Hampshire, and we're going to win this the New Hampshire way. And that's by reaching out and connecting with voters, understanding their concerns, and giving voice to them in our campaign. I think at the end of the day, people are looking for progress on issues. They're tired of the back and forth in Washington. They're tired of the zero-sum game, tired of the culture of corruption that exists there. They're looking for someone who understands them and who's going to fight for them each and every day. And that's what we're talking about in this campaign. That's the type of member of Congress I'll be. I think we can create a space not to talk past one another, but to talk to each other about the critical issues that this nation faces. And at the end of the day, we've got to put some wins on the board and show some progress for people that are depending on us.
All right, Chris Pappas, thank you very much.
Thank you.